Hi, this is Boone Slot Car Garage. Let's do this. Hi, I'm Boone, and this is Boone Slot Car Garage. And tonight we're going to go ahead and we're going to work on our HO layout. So we have two layouts going on. I have a 1/32 Scalextric digital layout, which if you look around on the YouTube page, that's the majority of all the videos are all on that 1/32. Well, it's time that we build a second layout. And what we're building is a HO layout for 1/64 scale. Now, the track that I am using is the 1980 Tyco Night Glow Empire 1000 slot car raceway set that you could buy back in 1980. In fact, this set, the advertisements that I found for it, where you could purchase it through JCPenney and the catalog and everything else. And I remember as a kid, going through those catalogs and stuff around Christmas time and stuff, and just drooling over all the toys that they would have in the catalogs. I mean, that was fun stuff. But what we got right now is we have this Tyco Night Glow 1000 Empire. Yeah, we've got this one right here. Okay, so I've had some questions since I went ahead and put up the first video, which was this video right here. And what people are saying is like, Boone, why didn't you go out and just buy the brand new AFX Giant Raceway? So the Giant Raceway, which is that one right there, the Giant Raceway is the brand new, pretty much equivalent to what the Tyco Empire 1000 was from the 1980s. So the reason why I'm doing this is, well, there's a couple reasons. One of which I wanted to see as far as budget goes, okay? And I'll go through all this. The first thing was budget. And budget meaning that I had kind of a set number inside my head that I was saying, okay, can I build a layout, a basic layout to start out with under this amount of money, okay? And I was able to. And I was able to do that because of using, used track. Now, is the Tyco better than the AFX? Well, no, probably not, because we're dealing with something that was built in 1980, probably originally built off the assembly line in either maybe 78 or 79, and something that is just brand new. But the actual mechanics of HO really hasn't changed that much throughout the years. Now there's a little bit more bells and whistles and stuff, but when it comes right down to it, it's about the same. It's not like when you're getting into the larger scales and now we have digital, and that just has really changed the game. So we're still using an analog style HO track. Now the AFX, which is this guy right here, okay, the Giant Raceway, is an equivalent as far as the actual feet that you can purchase in that. In fact, the new one, the AFX, has a half foot longer than what the Tyco track was. The Tyco track was 60 feet of, or actually 62 feet of actual track. And the AFX right here is 62.5. So you're getting 6 more inches of track. Okay. So pretty much we're now starting to compare apples and apples and not apples and oranges. So let me go over this. Okay, so the Tyco Night Glow that I was able to purchase, which actually was really cool set because it is the complete set. I mean, I have all the guardrails for it. I have all the decals for it. Really cool. I have all the little risers and everything else to elevate the track. So it was a complete set, okay? And actually came with 2 cars, and it came with controllers and everything else. Having a little bit of troubles with my power supply, but it's a little old. So what I'm doing is I'm actually purchasing another power supply for it, and I'll get to that later. So the new one, obviously the new one, you could go ahead and purchase that one, set it right up, no bugs, no nothing, and yeah, you got that. So what do we got? Well, I was able to purchase the Night Glow 1000 set for right around just roughly about $100, a little bit under $100. Now, the AFX, the brand new one that's out, that's equivalent to it, the new one is running anywhere from $300 to $500. Okay, so a little bit of a jump there. Now, also with that is kind of the idea of doing this is that we have a bunch of new guys that are coming into slot cars. Okay, so they're getting to that point and you're like, I had a slot car track once upon a time and I want to get back into it, but they might have a limited budget and they're looking at that AFX giant raceway and they're going, man, that's the one that I want. I want a bunch of track, but I just don't have the finances to splurge on $300 to $500 of excess income to purchase one of these. Well, we're going to make a layout and we're going to watch our funds going into it and see if we can do the same thing. So right off the bat, the new AFX is going to run you $300 to $500. I was able to find a used Tyco set for right around $100. So right off the bat, we're saving anywhere from $200 to $400 right off the bat. Now, I laid out the track and I am going to purchase about 10 additional feet, okay? And why I'm doing that is I need a new power supply. So I found something on eBay where I can get a power supply and it has a little bit of additional track too. And it's going to run me about $10 for the additional track. So kind of a cool deal. Also, I'm getting that 10 extra feet. So I thought, okay, let's just keep on comparing this and see where we're at. So that means that I'm into my track roughly, say about $110 minus shipping on this stuff. So if we go ahead and figure out what the new one would be to go ahead and equivalent that out, and I went ahead and priced out the pieces that I would get from AFX to fill that gap, it was right around $85 to $90 additional for that 10 extra feet and a power supply and everything else. In fact, it's a little bit higher than that. So now I'm at, say, 110, and a brand new one, if we're on the high side of a brand new one, we're in the neighborhood of $600. So you can see where a new guy that's coming into it kind of looking at it going, I don't want to spend that much money. Okay, so now that we got that and we got that out of the way and I went ahead and explained all that, the next thing we need to do, okay, so our first video that we did, which was this one, okay, that one right there, is I went ahead and I laid out the layout onto the floor and I was figuring out exactly how big I needed to make my table, playing around with a different track and coming up with a layout that that I liked. Now at the end of that video, I had a basic layout set, and there's a few different things that I wanted to create with that as far as certain iconic corners from other tracks around the world. And what that layout, the first one was this, and then the second one when we ended that video was that one right there. Okay, so it grew. Okay, originally I was going to go ahead and make a 4x8 sheet of plywood and try to fit the track into that, and I knew better because it was like, I got way too much track unless I want to go ahead and layer this thing over the top, which I don't. I want to go ahead and lay it all out. I'm not going to have enough room. So the 4x8 sheet grew to a 6x11 table. So from a 4x8 table to a 6-foot by 11-foot table. So I went out and I purchased some material. So there's my truck full of material. So I was able to go ahead and purchase some material, and I assembled my table for the layout. Now, in that video, you'll see where I have tape that I put down so I could number everything and then mimic that layout once I had my table established, and then put it all together And there it was, okay? So I went ahead and did that. But in the process, since I went ahead and had to go ahead and buy 3 sheets of 4x8 hardboard in the material, I started looking at it. It's like, I could push it a little bit more. So what I did is took the 6x11 foot table and I pushed it out a foot on both sides. So now I have a table that you'll see that's 7 foot by 12 foot long, and it's right around 84 square feet of actual surface on the layout itself, which is really cool because now I can fit the different areas that I wanted to put in there, and I have a little bit of room around the side, so my scenery doesn't have to come right up to the edge of the table. I have a little bit of a cushion there to go ahead and build that all in. So that worked out pretty good. Now, went ahead and did that. We went ahead and I built a pulley system and a hand crank system for this layout, so I can take the upper layout and my lower layout will go underneath it, and I can lower it and raise it underneath the existing layout. So now I can pancake those together to store them. And it still gives me room inside the garage, so I can go ahead and pull the car in and everything else, and I haven't lost the functionality of an actual garage where I have my track in. So now, saying all that, and going through the table and the track and all that other stuff, well, I think it's about time that we just go ahead and I shut up and we get down to the table and do this. So, go out and get yourself a cup of joe, maybe some popcorn, and let's do this. All right, so here we are. Here's the new layout. So if you're looking at this, you're going, wait a minute, this is a little bit different. You're right. Originally, I had the straightaway down this side, and the back side over here was where our Laguna Seca corkscrew, and then where the Road America area was going to be at. Well, I had to switch it around, okay? So now the straightaway is on the opposite side. Reason behind that is the way that this layout goes and it kicks up. I needed the height difference on this side over here for the corkscrew because I'm going to have to raise this up. So as I raise that up, I just don't have enough room on the lower side of the 1/32 layout to get the clearance. So voila, we have to switch it around. The other thing, you're probably looking at it going, the track was different. Well, it is, okay? Once I got it up here, and you can see that I still have all the tape, okay? So I went ahead and laid out the original layout that we had down on the floor, and I brought it up on top. Then I started to look at it, and I started to look more at pictures and everything else, and there were some areas that I just wanted to improve on a little bit more. Being one was the corkscrew, the way that it's laid out, that I had it laid out, and what the actual corkscrew looks like, where there was some differences, and I wanted to get it closer to what the actual corkscrew was like. So being as such, I have an open area over on this one side. The other thing is down where the carousel corner is going to be. I went down into the middle of it more instead of bringing it up this way perpendicular with the corkscrew because I was kind of running out of depth. So I ran that down into the middle and then kept pretty much the Road America area the same. Now, the center part of the track in here, I'm going to have that extra track coming. So that area is going to change. I have some gaps in these certain areas that I'll have. Obviously, those other pieces of track will fit into there and fill that. But you can see over on this side over here, I have a little bit of open space. I don't want to take it all with track, but I do want to fill it in just a little bit because I got to leave some for the reams straightaway in the pit buildings that we got from Magnetic Racing. So that's pretty much the gist of it. We went ahead and got this all laid out, but at this point, it is good enough that we can go ahead and start actually building some scenery and building this HO layout. So when we come back, let me go ahead and I'll show you guys the lift system that I came up with. All right, so now for the pulley system itself. Now the whole entire backbone of this system is this hand winch right here. And it's reversible. So you can actually flip this little switch, and not only will it go forward, by flipping the switch, it actually will ratchet in reverse as well. So you have a little bit more control of it when you actually are lowering the layout down. Now, this system is very simple that I put on here. It's not even as elaborate as the 1/32 system, for the mere fact that I want to keep this simple enough that if I need to pack up these two layouts, where that could very well happen here shortly, because we're looking at actually moving to a new home, and with with a bigger garage, so I'll have a lot more room. But I want to keep it simple enough that I could go ahead and detach all this, pack it up, put it in a moving truck, and move it without too much hassle. But I still needed to have it, functional, so I could raise it and lower it. So I went ahead and I have one of these hand winch, and then that goes down through here. And you can see right over here on the side, there's a pulley that's right up here. And that cable goes onto that pulley and then goes through the layout. So if it goes through the layout, right up into here, and actually I'll walk over to that area. We come back, I'll show you where that pulley is located at. All right, so that cable comes through the table, goes up, and it laps onto that pulley right there, and then comes down and just attaches itself right to the framework of the table, okay? So then what that is providing is a center pull on this part of the table and brings up this whole entire rear end. Now, I couldn't put any cables up in this area because I have my garage door that actually fits right up underneath there. So this whole entire back side of the layout here actually had to float. Okay, so now saying that, what I'll do is I'll go back over to the front over there and I'll show you how we to bring the nose up. Right, so now we're back here at the front of the layout, and what this is right here is a double wheel pulley. So I have two parachute cords here that I have looped over that, and then these guys come down to the side here to a pulley here that goes up and then just connects to the lower part of the 1/32 layout. And there's this one on this side, and there's also one right over here on the other side as well. That's doing the same thing. Now, how I'm doing this is I'm just holding on to the parachute cord, and then I can pull this up to pull off the tension on that. And I have these chains that are hooked on with hooks, so when it's stored or when it's down, it actually rests with these chains. So what I do is I hold this, I pull this up, disconnect my chains, and then I use my wheel or my crank and then lower it down and just slowly slip this through my hands, and it just brings it down. It's is it the best system in the world? No, this could actually be better. I could do it a lot like I did with the 1/32 scale layout. But for what is going on right now, this is probably my best way of doing it, so that when time comes I need to disconnect everything, it's going to be very easy. And my new place that I'm going into, this layout will actually probably have its own separate area, so I won't have to keep it up underneath my existing layout. So for the time being, this is the way that I'm going to go ahead and work this system. Now, if you're curious as far as trying to make a system like this but better, a good way of doing it would be like using the video that I made for the 1/32 scale layout. So what I can do is come back out here, and the larger layout up on top that has the power winch and everything else. If you used that type of configuration with the hand crank down here on the lower and running your cables on the underside, you could actually create this as far as, you know, bringing it down through and have a central pull that comes down with your different pulleys. So that's pretty much the lift system in the nutshell. And when we come back, I'll go ahead and lower this down and we can wrap up this video. All right, so what I'm doing is just holding on to this cable. I'm gonna pull this up a little bit. I'm gonna disconnect my hooks on either side. Like so. And now since I have this, what I can do is take this system right here and get this like so. Take some tension off of it. Flip the switch. And now it's just a matter of lowering it down. I got that set. Flip this like so. Come back, we'll put our chains in here. We'll hook those guys up. And there we go. Layout's down. All right, the table itself is made out of 1/4 inch MDF hardboard, and that's just screwed down here on the sides and at all the support structure that I have on the underside. Now, the reason why I went with such a thin material is that weight is kind of a factor for me, being that I have this suspended from the ceiling and I'm winching this guy up and I'm winching up the 1/32 scale layout, and this is actually hanging off of the bottom of it. You know, it's just all that added weight. So I wanted to keep the weight down as much as possible. Not so much that my power winch can't handle the weight, but being that the anchoring system and everything I have in the ceiling, I just don't want to take any chances and rip it out. You know, that wouldn't be a good thing. It'd be bad enough to lose one layout, but to lose 2 layouts at the same time, if this thing all came undone, that wouldn't be good. So I went ahead and used the 1/4 inch 4x8 sheets of the MDF hardboard for up here. And then the actual structure is made out of 2x2. So it's actually 2x2 by 8 foot timbers on the underside. And I just kind of did a space framing type of structure to it, and I didn't go overwhelmed with all the supports. I just kind of spaced it out, and I figure by the time that I get the polystyrene board and everything else glued down onto this hardboard, that it's going to have quite a bit of strength in it. So plenty for what we have going on. So that's pretty much the table construction, and we come back, let's go ahead and finish up this video. All right, so there we go, another video complete, and we got some more stuff done on our HO layout. So the next time we go visit our HO layout, I'm gonna have that other track, so I'll get that filled in and hopefully figure out my configuration as far as that goes. And also what we want to do is go ahead and review over the layout itself, go around the different corners and stuff that we want to go ahead and create. And also we want to start setting our elevations on the track, because this track isn't going to be flat. It's going to have hills and everything else. So we need to go ahead and get that established next. Now, saying all that, again, like going towards the first part of this video and the intro, I'm using the Tyco track from the 1980s. Now, obviously it's not the only track that's out there. I'm using the Tyco, but there's also AFX. There's track made from Auto World, Aurora, Scalextric, Tommy. There's tons of different tracks out there. And I mean, you can find stuff that's being built today, modern, up-to-date tracks, or if your budget is kind of one of those things where you can't quite afford the brand new stuff, you could also go out there and see what's on the used market. Now, I'm finding stuff off eBay, but you could find stuff off like Facebook Marketplace. You could find stuff maybe in your local paper or like Craigslist. And there's also the community garage sales or maybe secondhand stores that are in your neighborhood. Always worth, looking at different things, especially when it comes to hobbies, because hobbies can really start to add up if you're buying everything right off the shelf. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about building a layout. Now, this could be applied to not only the 164th, but the 143rd, the 132nd, the 124th. I mean, everything all the way across the board. So I just want to go ahead and put that out there. Now, also, since I'm building a layout with the Tyco, there's this guy right here. And this is my good friend Travis, who's over in Australia. And he has a YouTube channel called That Slot Car Guy. And if you've never seen his YouTube channel, I highly suggest going over there and checking it out. But he's going to go ahead and start putting together an AFX layout. So it'll be kind of cool. I'll be building this. He's going to be building something else. I don't know when he's going to start, but I talked to him quite a bit, and it sounds like it's in the works. So definitely keep an eye on this guy, right? But seriously, go over there, check out his website as far as his YouTube channel. He does car reviews. He does some little quirky things as well. And he's just a funny guy. You just got to go over there and go check it out. Give him a like, go subscribe, tell him that Boone sent you. So, hey, why not? But while I'm at it with this guy, there's also a couple other guys I want to go ahead and point out as well. Now, there's also this gentleman right here by the name of Dave Kennedy. And Dave, if you're looking at my channel, there's a good chance you've already seen Dave Kennedy. But if you haven't, go over there and check this out as well. Now, Dave does a little thing called Slot Car News on YouTube as well. Does a weekly release on Fridays, and he tells you what's going on in the slot car industry. Plus, he goes ahead and does some live streaming on Sundays as well. And he's just a vast of knowledge. It's very, it's kind of cool. There's a bunch of guys out there doing different things. And I just want to go ahead and point that out, that, go check him out, say hi. So there's him, there's that guy, and there's also this guy right here. This guy right here is by the name of Massimo, and he has MP Slot Car Space. Does reviews, again, he's a character. You should see some of the stuff this guy does. So seriously, go check out these guys, good guys. But to get back to what we got going on here with my channel, right? So if you like this video, like it, share it, and please subscribe to my channel. And yeah, we're having some fun stuff going on here. So next time on Boone's Slot Car Garage, well, you know what? Most likely, I think I'll be working back on this. I kind of got that HO bug going on. So yeah, we'll do that, all right? So I'll see you guys later. Hi, this is Boone's Slot Car Garage. Let's do this.